hello, and Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas to everyone who's celebrating. Hope you have had and are still having fantastic time with family, with friends, with everyone surround you by the loved ones. Whether no matter how you're celebrating, if you're celebrating alone, hope you had a fantastic time. Hope everyone has enjoyed it and still enjoying it, to be honest, because Christmas is the time when you should be able to forget many things, many things that bother you, and just be in the moment. And in a way, sit back, relax. In a way, also reflect on how your year is slowly going by and how has it passed, because New Year 2025 is about to kick off in less than a week. So it will hope everyone's having a great time. Hope everyone's not too harsh on themselves and it's not troubling anyone too much. But genuinely, hope everyone's having a great time. Everyone's feeling fine. Well, health-wise, mentally, everyone's doing fantastically well. And yeah, but despite everything, obviously, despite everything that's going on with yourselves, I was hoping for nice, quiet, relaxing Christmas and everything. But of course, Arsenal make everything possible to kind of basically rain on my parade in that regard, and rain on all of Arsenal's fan bases parade. Sorry. Because news come out, Bukayo Saka is out up to 6 weeks, if not even more. Let's be real, it could be actually getting worse, because that's only an estimated time, about a few weeks till he kicks into gear. So that actually could be more than actually 6 weeks. It could be actually 2-3 months even, depending on what grade of hamstring injury it is and everything. There's some transfer news, because transfer window also is pretty much here. It's generally 6 days away till January transfer window kicks off. So that will be very interesting to see whether the recent issues and injury not want to say crisis, but the injury issues that have hit Arsenal pretty heavily for very important players as well. We'll see how that affects Arsenal's movements and Arsenal's view on the January transfer window, of course. And there's some Arteta comments on how he sees Bukayo Saka being replaced for this time until he comes back. We can also talk about that. But yeah, of course, if you're new around here, smash that like button, smash the hell out of it, because let's be real, it's Christmas. It's time of giving and everything. So if you have time, just do it. Subscribe, hit that bell, leave your comments in the live chat. We're definitely going to talk about those, discuss the topics that are on your mind, even if they are not Arsenal related. And of course, if you're watching this a playback, leave a comment down below. Answer every single comment. So what we're gonna kick things off today, without generally further ado, of course, it's gonna be Mr. Bukayo Saka. We're gonna talk about Bukayo Saka and his injury, because according to reports, the news broke yesterday, Bukayo Saka is expected to be out to 4 to 6 weeks following the hamstring injury he picked up against Crystal Palace, as confirmed by Mikel Arteta. Now the thing is, it's 4 to 6 weeks, rough estimate. Let's be real. I don't think he's gonna come back sooner. I in a way, I know Arteta will try and force him back, because he has done it with other players. We have seen with Odegaard, Ben White, Rice, with Timber, to some extent Calafiori. Many players have played with injuries despite everything. So I really hope Arteta doesn't do that with Bukayo Saka, because he definitely would be risking bigger injury, much rougher one. And on top of all these things, it obviously depends on the grade of hamstring injury, because if it's like grade 1, maybe grade 2 to some extent, I can see these 4-6 weeks maybe playing into the cards. But the fact that Bukayo Saka left the game on crutches doesn't scream genuinely 4-6 weeks. It screams more, and that is the biggest concern. And on top of all that, of course, Raheem Sterling has an injury, so there's another player gone missing from that right wing spot we actually could have deployed there in a way we could have used there. So definitely Arteta has a bit of a conundrum on his hands in that regard. Big up Marlon in the chat, big up my guy, Merry Christmas to you as well, Marlon. And yeah, that's the thing, he's saying Havertz cooked at right wing for Leverkusen. He actually cook if he gets played well there. That's the thing, because we're gonna look in it in a second. Arteta has talked about replacing Bukayo Saka. Obviously with Sterling being out, that one option is gone, as I said, but there are a few other options Arteta is seeing there who can replace him. We're gonna look at that in a second. That only means that Saka will miss Man City. He's gonna miss FA Cup games, he's gonna miss Carabao Cup games, he's gonna miss also Champions League games. But beating Dinamo Zagreb, beating Girona shouldn't take efforts from Bukayo Saka. But this is the thing. Earlier in the season, we got injury for some extent for Martin Odegaard. And it already didn't look good when Odegaard wasn't playing. Arteta also strictly refused to try starting Ethan Wanyeri in that position. So we played Trossard there, we played Havertz to some extent there, we played even Merino as a number 10. And it basically, we coped. Let's just put it that way. It wasn't great, it wasn't a good look, but we coped in that regard. But now it comes to a point where you could easily say Bukayo Saka is the most important player in Arsenal's team. And let's be real, for the last 3-4 years, he genuinely has carried this team on his back. Maybe in recent few years, some of the players have taken a bit of a load of him, but ultimately, yes, he's been carrying Arsenal to very big extent on his back with GA, with some performances. Yes, he goes missing more often than not in the big games, let's be real, but still he gets GA, he performs in these games, he gets GA, and against these big teams, GA is all you need. Sometimes the performance without GA is a bit irrelevant, if that makes any sense, of course. So I think replacing Bukayo Saka is 10 times more difficult than replacing Martin Odegaard. Martin Odegaard, of course, he also has cons in his game. He also doesn't like physical gameplay. It's really easy to shut him out if you get physical and rough with him. Bukayo Saka is a bit different. Even though you could see he gets double, triple teamed every single game pretty much, he still manages most of the time at least produce 1 or 2 moments of brilliance, and ultimately usually one of those 2 moments actually leads to goals or assists and stuff like that, which at the end of the day wins us games. Without Bukayo Saka, we are Saka FC, and that is the biggest issue here. How we will cope without Bukayo Saka. Yes, last year we played without Bukayo Saka against, I think it was Man City, and we beat them. But again, that was a lucky goal as well from Martinelli, and the thing is, Arteta is about control. He parks the bus a lot, he defends a lot and everything, and he wants to try and hit people on counter. And without Bukayo Saka, we are missing pretty much the main outlet on those counter-attacks. You may scream, wow, what about Martinelli? What about this guy and that guy and this guy? But let's be real, Bukayo Saka is the dominant one. He's the one who we are trying to push our counter-attacks through. And you could see that also after against Crystal Palace. As soon as Bukayo Saka got subbed off, Crystal Palace gained a bit of momentum. They got more cocky. They actually started to build up momentum, go forward and actually attack, because they knew that our main outlet in counterattacks and in attacks in general was gone. And that was the biggest issue in that regard in terms of Bukayo Saka and Arsenal. And that at the moment is the biggest worry. Because without Bukayo Saka, you could see that Crystal Palace were more confident. They were actually trying to go at us, and they were missing quite a few players. That includes Eze as well. And they had a few chances, and that is the biggest thing. At the moment, we might turn back, potentially. Arteta should, at least, in my opinion, turn back to 22-23 year type of football, where we play attacking, expansive football. Let's forget about the fact, let's not forget, but let's talk about the fact that this team, in my opinion, is still built to be attacking. But without Bukayo Saka, we cannot sit back and defend and try and control the games. We just cannot do that, because there are times we cannot actually control and defend in general. But without Bukayo Saka, we are missing that outlet, that extra player, the big player, basically, who gets us over the line. And that, for me, is a big worry at the moment. Because replacing him is pretty much impossible in terms of Arsenal. I've been saying that for countless years. Many YouTube channels were saying that for numerous years, that Bukayo Saka needs a backup. He needs a replacement, just in case. And Arteta has strictly refused to do it. He strictly has refused to sign one. And now we, in a way, will be paying the price. How it's gonna look in game, obviously, it's still a mystery. It remains to be seen. But ultimately, it's gonna be pricey. We're gonna lose. We might drop points at that cost alone. Because if you think that Bukayo Saka, if he goes missing, he still doesn't get GA, you are out of your mind. Because yes, for me, the biggest thing about Bukayo Saka is that he has learned a way when he has a stinky game, he gets GA. And that ultimately leads to goals and leads to everything what we need. But now without Bukayo Saka, we in a way will be missing that point where out of nowhere something happens. And that for me is a big worry now. Because we will be very reckless now when we're gonna play. Because you saw against Crystal Palace as well, as soon as Bukayo Saka went down, our team were pushing forward. Because they needed to figure out ways to score goals. Because if we had Bukayo Saka, we all know ball is gonna get cycled to the right. We're gonna try to do something there. If it doesn't work, the ball gets recycled in the midfield, maybe to the left, maybe through the middle, and we go again, maybe again starting from the right. Without Bukayo Saka, it now gives the opportunity for Arteta maybe to figure out ways to attack without Bukayo Saka in the team. And it will be very interesting to see how Mikel Arteta manages that. Because there is this thing, once Bukayo Saka comes back, and if Arteta will have figured out a way to attack without Bukayo Saka through other spaces from the left and the middle, it will be very interesting what we're gonna do once he comes back. But that's also if he figures it out. Because if he figures it out, it will be interesting for me at least to see whether he's gonna combine these two instances when we attack through Bukayo Saka and then how we attack without Bukayo Saka, if he's gonna try and combine these situations, these tactics, or he's gonna revert back to the same style when we played when Bukayo Saka wasn't injured. That for me will be a big thing to follow, to see. And that again, of course, raises the big question for transfer window. Will we gonna go and sign someone big in transfer window based on the fact that we have injuries in very crucial positions? And we're gonna talk about that in a split second, but for now it's the Bukayo Saka thing. It's a big worry for me personally. Because we saw that we dropped off when Martin Odegaard was out. And all the top Gunners and all these people were screaming, just wait, when he comes back, we'll be flying again. He came back, and let's be real, we were not flying. We looked a bit more comfortable in the attack, but we were not flying. And throughout this whole transfer window last summer, I wish I had the channel even a few years before, I would be screaming still the same thing as I was screaming through the transfer window and loan, that we need a backup for Bukayo Saka, because we loaned out Reece Nelson. Technically, we also loaned out Fabio Vieira, who can play as a right wing, and now we have this issue: who we gonna play as a right wing? And that for me is the big issue, because Mikel Arteta has spoken on this. And he said, this is the thing, it's not looking good. He's going to be out for many weeks. Now, the big thing is, however, Arteta also said, I'm very optimistic he'll be back before the end of the season. The biggest issue about this statement is that the season ends in 5.5 months. Well, 6 months technically. 6 months. And if he says he'll be back before the end of the season, if it's a long-term 3-4 month injury, it could also be that. Because, yes, reports are saying Saka will be out 4 to 6 weeks. Okay, let's assume that. With hamstring injury, he comes back. He needs about 2-3 weeks till he kicks into gear back again, unless there are setbacks. Let's thought about this if there are no setbacks, right? That means he'll be technically out for 2 months. And the season is about 6 months, almost. So that means 4 months of Bukayo Saka. Okay, great. That is not too bad if we actually manage to find a way to attack and play games without Bukayo Saka. However, this thing that he's saying, I'm very optimistic he'll be back before the end of the season, could also lead potentially to believe that hamstring injury is not a grade 1, maybe not even a grade 2, but grade 3. And that again means he'll be out for 3 to 6 months. And then it's a massive issue. Because if he starts saying things that he'll be optimistic before the end, that he'll be back before the end of the season, it could also mean he'll be back in 4 or 5 months. And that genuinely is about last 5-6 game weeks. Genuinely. It could also mean that. And then again, that means we desperately need a right wing. We desperately need a right wing. And we don't have that in the team at the moment. And here comes the big kicker, what Mikel Arteta has said. Arteta will therefore to make alternative right wing selections for him in their upcoming games, with Havertz possible option for him. Martinelli has played there, Ethan has played there, Trossard can play there, in relation to how the unit moves. So basically, with Raheem Sterling also being injured, Arteta sees potentially Havertz playing right wing, Vanieri playing right wing, Martinelli playing right wing, and of course Trossard as well. And we got a glimpse against Crystal Palace to see how, of course, Martinelli would look at right wing. And I'm not saying he had a world beater of a game, but he had a more convincing and better game, in my opinion, that he mostly has at left wing. And that is also, I think, due to the fact that we had a right footer on the right side. because his strong foot is on the outside. It's easier for him to chase the ball if he tries to outsprint a player and cross it because it's on his strong foot. It's easier for him because he's not forced, like when he's on the left side, to cut back, stop, rethink his decisions. He can actually, even though he feels like a speedball without the driver, he actually doesn't need to think as much. And Martinelli, in those instances, is the most dangerous Martinelli, when he doesn't have to think as much. Because the biggest issue with Martinelli is that he thinks too much. Since he's on the left side, he needs to think about on which foot he is, what he would do, how he could get by him, and everything. When he plays on the right side, he doesn't have to think as much because the ball is always on his right foot and it's on the outside. He doesn't need to be afraid to cross the ball because it's on his strong foot. He doesn't need to afraid to pass the ball because it's on his strong foot. He doesn't need to cut back as much because, again, his ball is on his strong foot. And that for me is the biggest thing. Why Mikel Arteta has never tried to deploy this instance in game, putting Saka on the left, Martinelli on the right. And that is, I think, also solely because of Odegaard. Because that right side is pretty much, in my opinion, very sacred to Mikel Arteta, that he wants to play there together, Odegaard, Saka, and Timber or White, whoever plays there. I think that in that regard, it's very sacred for him. And that for me is a big worry that he doesn't want to change his ways. I really would like to see, actually, given that Sterling is out, Saka is out. Yes, on the right wing, Havertz has played at Bayer Leverkusen there. Martinelli has played there, now we have seen. Jesus has played there for Man City and for Arsenal in general. Vanjeri technically is a number 10/right wing. He has played there for under 20s and everything for Arsenal as well when he has on randomly times come on. Trossard not as much because he mostly plays left wing number 10. Or 9, that is a big issue in that regard. But ultimately that raises the big question. Because Josh Kroenke as well has come out in an interview, not recently, but some time ago, said that we're gonna move in January transfer window only if there are major issues, major injuries, squad is depleted, or something like that. And for me, Bukayo Saka injury is a depleted squad instantly. Because we are Saka FC. We need these players to be fit. Our seasons in the last 3 years specifically, are solely based on the fact that our starting 11 is fully fit. It has been like that for years now. We saw that last year. We got almost no injuries to our main guys whatsoever, and we came off 2 points of the league. 2 years ago, Saliba got injured. Besides that, almost everyone was mostly injury-free as well. Because let's be real, Partey, Jesus, they're always injured, so you cannot count them as our whole starting 11 players because half the time they're not there. But ultimately, again, our season in a way fell apart because we didn't have a replacement for Thomas Partey. He got injured against Sporting Lisbon and that was that. This season again, this season was solely based with 22-man squad, smallest squad in the league, based on us avoiding injuries. But how can you avoid injuries when you play almost every single player for full 90, you make like-per-like substitutions, there is no depth to rotate the squad, plus most of these players go out to international duty, they're playing cups wherever they have to play, all the goddamn time. They have been run into the ground that fitness and everything is becoming a massive issue, and now we are paying the price. We are paying massive price. And last season, Liverpool, Newcastle had loads of injuries, Chelsea as well. Yes, Chelsea had a big squad, but they were yielding like under 20s quite a bit. 2 years ago was the same thing. We have no replacements for the key positions. And that again comes back to summer window, before January, before that summer window and everything. And I now have to look in this January transfer window, look at Mikel Arteta and say, you need to sign an attacker. But since Arteta has been here, he has signed about what? 3-4 attacking players. He has signed Jesus. He has signed Trossard, Marquinhos. And that's about it, actually. That's about it. The rest of the attacking players is what we had. I'm not counting Havertz as an attacking player solely due to the fact that Mikel Arteta himself, when we signed him, came out and said, we have signed him as a midfielder. And when that experiment with shoehorning him into the midfield for half the season didn't work, he stuck him up top, and that sort of worked. And now we are in a position where we have to rely on this sort of working number 9 to play as a right wing because Arteta sees him as a possible option for him. Like, this is not a serious club who is going for a title. I'm not gonna lie. No team has this kind of level. If you look in Premier League to benches, to the most teams, I can kid you not, if you look at bench for Aston Villa, Newcastle, other teams, the smaller, a bit smaller teams than Arsenal, their bench is looking better than Arsenal's. And that has been now for years, countless years. That was the same thing even under Arsene Wenger. And to be honest, you could put in an argument that even under Arsene Wenger, our bench was better than it is right now. And that is a big, big shambles after 800 million spent and everything. Because I'm gonna reiterate this, which I'm saying, it feels like almost every single stream. When Arteta and Edu came in, took over, Edu said that we needed to let players go, we need to sell them because they were not good enough and on too high of wages. We now fast forward 800 million, 5 years, and we are again in the same position. They are on too high wages, way too higher than they were actually that time, and they are also not good enough. And that now all falls on Garlic, on scouts, which if we have ever left because Edu sacked them all, on Edu, on Arteta, because they haven't recruited properly. And now we are gonna pay the price. I called this in the beginning of the season, and as much I hate for this specific thing to be right, we are here now. Because I was screaming for Odegaard replacement because we saw DSR loaned out Vieira. I thought, okay, Vieira is gonna play them because in preseason he actually looked half decent. Arteta didn't play him when Odegaard was injured. I was screaming for backup for for Saka to sign Michael Olise or someone like that. We signed nobody again. Nelson gets loaned out. We signed Raheem Sterling. He's injured. It's fine and dandy when you have these makeshift type of players who can play 65 roles. Like our whole defense, besides Saliba and Gabriel, more or less can play all across the back line. Sorry, Gabriel and Saliba. Our attack, more or less, if many players can play multiple positions. Very rarely we have players who are specialists who play in specific positions. Very rarely we have Gabriel, Saliba, of course Raya, let's not count that. Technically Declan Rice because we are forcing him into an 8 role when he's a 6. Technically Odegaard, who we are playing as a 10, for me he's an 8, but Arteta is never going to use him that way, I guess. And Bukayo Saka. He's the only one who has stayed consistently on the right wing. Rest of the players have played, it feels like, all across the map. Genuinely. And I read today an interview where obviously he was a bit joking, but Thomas Partey said that under Simeone at the time, he was playing right wing on occasion. Right mid, right wing. And when you look at how Simeone plays, he also utilizes Llorente as well. Right mid, right wing, right back in those roles. Obviously he's a center mid more or less, but he uses him out wide as well. And I know Partey was joking, but I hope Mikel Arteta doesn't see this. It's bad enough that we use him as a right back. Imagine him using as a right wing. Dude, we will become such a laughingstock. We are already in a way a laughingstock. Given that we are title contenders, scintillating, dangerous, that our depth of the team is worse than the depth in the kids playing football in backyard. Genuinely, I as a kid, in the backyard playing football with friends, we had more players playing that game than Arsenal has depth in the team. Like, make that make sense. Like, genuinely, it's embarrassment to say the least. Really need to put a great performance Friday for Saka's sake and get the 3 points. If we don't get 3 points at home against Ipswich, dude, heads are about to roll, I genuinely swear. Martinelli on the right wing is great. He is calm, composed, and can assist and score goals. That is the biggest thing. This is the biggest thing. Martinelli actually, when he played right wing against Palace, looked more comfortable than he did at left wing. And that I strongly believe is solely due to the fact that his strong foot is on the outside. So he can control the ball better. He doesn't have to worry about weak foot passes and weak foot crosses. Genuinely. I want Simon Yeri starting on the right. He needs more minutes in the game time. It will be very interesting. Merry Christmas, Nathan. Big up my guy. Merry Christmas. Xhaka is cooking in the UCL right now over the pitch. He'll held in himself. Xhaka is in the first season. Xhaka left Arsenal. He went invincible in Bundesliga, and he lost 1 or 2 games throughout the whole season, including Deutsche Pokal and Europa League. I think genuinely Bayer Leverkusen's only loss that season was in the finals against Atalanta. Granit Xhaka, in 1 year at Bayer Leverkusen, won more than Mikel Arteta has won in 5 years. But is yours gold? Leverkusen's is gold. Well, technically, because they don't do that type of PR shit, but it is what it is. Every player has to at least play 20 games already, plus do their country players need... Exactly, that is the thing. And we don't have the rotation, because if we had rotation at some point, at striker we have to push Oyedeji from the under-20s and players like that, and they are not good enough. Jamie Carragher is roasting us, saying we need an attacker if we are going... That's not roasting us. I've been saying that for years now. Most Arsenal fans been saying that at least for a year. But Arteta doesn't sign attackers. And I'm scared to death that he's not gonna do this. He has signed 3 attackers in the time in the 5 years he's been here. What trust should I have in him to sign more? Only because it's pressure situation? Only because of that? Because he needs to sign finally one. How about these 5 years before, when you need depth, you need better players, you need rotation, everything? How about then? Only because Saka is injured, you all of a sudden want to sign a winger, for example. Why does something drastic need to happen in the team for something to happen? Because the same goes also with injuries. As soon as someone gets injured, Arteta panics. He switches whole team around. Because we don't have depth in certain positions. Whitehead injury, he's out for till February, if not more, for example. Timber, right? Oh, Calafiori is injured. Push him as a left back, put Partey as a right back. Which manager operates like that? Which manager operates like that? Imagine Arsene Wenger, right? Our right back gets injured. He puts Patrick Vieira as a right back. Whenever you would see such BS, whenever. Like, it's just stupid. We are the only... If you look in a way, if you look objectively in the attacking, the solely attack in Premier League, our attack, if we don't have Saka, for example, in the attack, right? In the attacking trio, and we are genuinely mid-table team, at best. Mid-table team. Even mid-table teams like Brentford, Brighton... To some extent, Crystal Palace even, and teams like that, have better attacking depth than Arsenal. We are the only title contenders in the history of football who have no depth in the key positions. We have 20 defenders but can't buy an attack. Exactly. We are defensive C. We are trying to defend, and that is something we were good at last year, yet we suck this year. Make it make sense. How in the course, in few months, we have gone from best defense in the league to leaking goals left, right, and center. Like, how does that even work? And technically, we have Timber back. We have the latest fashion week, from Paris Fashion Week, we have Calafiori, the cauliflower, zucchini, the Italian zucchini. Like, what is happening here? Technically, we have better defense, but we are worse at defending. That only happens, well, never. I heard we are closing on Dani Olmo. Nico Williams, I read today, Barcelona are still top priority for Barcelona is re-signing Dani Olmo now and Nico Williams in summer. Read that today. And I read that Arsenal are interested in Dani Olmo, if I'm not mistaken, only for summer. I don't know if I have it saved, I don't. But it's only for summer. It's genuinely only for summer move. As mad as it sounds. And we have permanently signed Molero for January. Nah, I don't... Molero, what he's gonna do at Arsenal? He's not a proven winner. He's 21, so he's inexperienced. He's not a player who's gonna close the gap. He's not that type of player. Plus, he's coming from Spanish league. He's gonna need about 65 years to adapt. Give him time. He's so young. Oh well. And now, because of Odegaard's injury, Bukayo Saka's injury, at the end of the season, once we win nothing at this pace, and most likely we won't as well, let's be real, for all the top gooners, Arteta only fans and Arteta sexuals, right? This will be the prime excuse. Oh, but Odegaard was out for a month or two. Oh, but Saka was injured. Oh, Ben White had a surgery. How about stop with the excuses? Hold this manager, Edu, Carlick, Lewis, all these idiots there accountable for a change. Stop with the excuses. Bro, 2 attackers we need to sign. Exactly. We need at least 2 attackers. We need to freshen up the attack. I also believe that our attack is struggling because it's very stale. It's very predictable. We have had the same attack for now 2-3 years now. No changes. No changes whatsoever. How is that even a thing? Big up, Ben. Merry Christmas, Ben. Is the title race? Yeah, for me, it's been over for some time now. Him and Odegaard on the link up on the right wing was... who the hell... Granit Xhaka is not a baller. Let's put it that way. However, let's put it this way. We sold Granit Xhaka. We have signed... Well, we signed Declan Rice. We've signed Merino. And Jorginho, technically, that was... And everything. Have we found a better player than Granit Xhaka? Like, realistically, to replace him? Or even the same level? Because for me, Merino doesn't look like he's better. Genuinely. I'm serious. Merino doesn't look like he's better. Jorginho, he's old, let's be real. Declan Rice, he's get played out of position all the time. How about generally try Odegaard as Nate and put, for example, Meunier in a 10? Something like that. But it looks like Arteta strictly is refusing to do that. To play Odegaard and Meunier in the same team. How much of us not buying attackers are Arteta and how much of the board backing him? That, I don't know. But ultimately, if we have spent at the moment 800 million nearly in the transfer windows over the 5 years, we have spent, well, what? 80 million on the attackers we have signed in Jesus, Trossard and Marquinhos. If you want, you can count Havertz in there. Okay, 130, 140 million. If you want. I don't count him because Arteta said he's a midfielder, right? But okay, we have spent of 800 million about 1/5, 1/6. Genuinely, like 15% of all the money we have spent on this team, we have spent on the attackers. Most of the money we have solely spent signing goalkeepers and defenders. That's it. Genuinely, 55 left backs, 50,000 right backs, 10 goalkeepers, and everything. Most of the money, about 300-400 million alone, have gone to defenders, goalkeepers. About 200 million have gone on midfielders, and rest of it has been attack. That's it. Genuinely, that's it. The place where we need the most support for the last 2-3 years in the team has been given the least amount of attention, if possible, in the team. I heard White coming back January. Maybe late January. Maybe, in my opinion. And that as well, he comes back. He had knee surgery, so he cannot train properly. He cannot put weight on the leg and everything. Which means he will need about few weeks till he can train, play on the grass. Then he needs to adapt to physical contact sport back again, of course, and everything. He will be back mid-February, something like that. Ain't no... But that's the thing as well. If he comes back in January, Timber goes left back. Like, most likely. As long as Arteta doesn't force him back, there's also a possibility of that. And nobody would put Vieira at right back. Exactly, that is the thing. For Arsenal, Lauren or someone gets injured. What Arsene Wenger does, yes, I'm gonna put Patrick Vieira as a right back. Yes, I'm gonna play Robert Pires as a left wing back. Yes, Thierry Henry is gonna play as a backup striker, as a number 8 half the time, so he can press from deep within. Whoever does that, would Arsene Wenger ever do that? Let's be real. That just makes no sense whatsoever. Bro is a beast at DM, probably the best of all time. Exactly. One of the best of all time, period. How people saying Calafiori's... Dude, it's mad. It is mad. He's nowhere close. He has hair, maybe, but that's about it. That's about it. His injuries, everything, he gets caught out way too much. He pushes very high up. I get that's instructions from Arteta. But defensively, he gets cooked more often than not. He gets cooked for pace. His agility is not the greatest. His positional reading is very questionable. We have conceded about 3-4 goals from that left side, specifically when Calafiori has played, when either Trossard, who was an attacker, or Rice is covering that position. Strictly them. Strictly them. And Calafiori is nowhere to be found. Yep, Colomwani links are getting stronger, and that is the case. People are linking with him. Dude, if this happens, if we sign the French Eddie Nketiah, this could go south real quick. Real quick. But to be honest, for me personally, that's what Arsenal will do. We are not gonna go big in the transfer window. We're just gonna get few loans in. 1, maybe 2, we're gonna get loans in. We're not gonna go big in January transfer window. Because that's not Arsenal. No ambition, no nothing. When Kroenke bought Arsenal, he said himself, Stan, not Josh, he said himself, I didn't buy Arsenal to win trophies. Then Wenger topples that with saying top 4 is like a trophy. And then fast forward about 6-7 years and here we are. Yep, Colomani, exactly. And that is the biggest worry in the world. We probably will sign him, no team does us really... I've seen Man United links, but let's be real, it's not gonna happen. I want Arsenal to buy Florian Wirtz. Big up Augustine. Big up Merry Christmas. Yes, I would love for Arsenal to sign Florian Wirtz. The thing is about this though, even if we sign Florian Wirtz, right? For me, the manager is the biggest issue. Because we can sign whoever we want in the world. If we have the money. Kroenkes have the money, they just don't sign. In a way, the way we would like to sign. But whoever we sign, I would say yes, sign Florian Wirtz. He would just light up our attack. Number 10, everything fantastic. Go for it, right? But then if I sit back and look at things and I start to think, what will Mikel Arteta do with Florian Wirtz? Because if you look how Xabi Alonso is managing his team, how they play attacking, very expensive attacking football in a way. Florian Wirtz has been given the freedom to free roam that attack position. To roam from number 10 to left wing, to number 9 to number 10, sometimes drop in the 8, then to right wing and go move all across the map, in a way in that regard. Mikel Arteta doesn't give freedom to any player. He boxes them in, makes them play very robotic. And that for me is a big worry, because if you cannot give players their freedom, and play to their strengths and you force them to play a certain way, they lose half of their identity in itself, and that genuinely does more harm than good. Yes, he plays in your system, yeah, but he is not as good as he actually could be. Because for me personally, Bukayo Saka under Arsene Wenger would cook like no tomorrow. Because in my opinion, Wenger would give Bukayo Saka the freedom he deserves in the attack. He would get similar type of freedom like Arsene Wenger gave to Alexis Sanchez, for example. Maybe not to that extent, but he would give him more freedom to dribble, to attack, to shoot, and do everything. He would give them more freedom, more free-flowing, more open gaps, more spaces. And that's what's missing from Arsenal. Quick movements, one-touch passing, everything. And that is the biggest issue with Arsenal. It doesn't matter who we sign in a way at the moment. Because if we play the same type of football, same way, nothing new, no imagination, and it's been 5 years into this process, right? And we still cannot beat mid-low blocks, 5 at the backs. We struggle against all of them, and Arteta hasn't found a way. Let's be real. We will never win anything until we figure this stuff out. And I don't think Arteta can in a way. Maybe 1-2 games, yes, but to do it on a consistent basis, when Premier League teams do that against us, I would say 90% of Premier League teams do that against us every single game, and we still haven't figured this out after 5 years. It's not it. It is genuinely not it. But you notice Bournemouth has sound better attack. Yeah, Bournemouth has better attack than us. Genuinely they do. Kluivert, Evan Nilsson, Semenyo, they have. Many teams have better attack than us. Yes, 100% words, but would Arteta sign him? That's the thing. Would he sign him? And what he would do with him? That is also the big thing. With Wirtz, our attack won't just be tough, but it would be... Don't start this unstoppable stuff. 2 years, last year as well, in the second part of the season, Arsenal were unstoppable, scintillating and dangerous, and we still won F-all. We could actually look like attacking threat with Wirtz. We don't need a number 10. We need wingers, attackers. Based on how Arteta is looking at things, we have number 10, and that is Martin Odegaard. Nobody is ever going to replace him there. Hence why Ranieri and Odegaard never play in the same team. They always come on off each other. All the time. Because if they would play together, I would be very interested to see Martin Odegaard as a left 8, for example. And Ranieri as a 10. Or something like that. The biggest thing is, though, as well, Martin Odegaard doesn't do well in physical battle. As soon as teams get very physical, very rough and tough with him, he instantly disappears. Instantly disappears. Instantly. And we have seen this over the years countless times. And that is, for me, a big worry. Big worry. Yes, he could play in an 8, but that physicality could be an issue. But from deep, he actually maybe could create something more. Because in the attack, the way he gets pressed, he would potentially have more freedom and passing options in the number 8 role than he has in number 10 role. In number 10, you need more attacking, more direct, more technical, and more straightforward type of number 10. And that is that Florian Wirtz guy we just talked about. Those are those guys who we need. But, of course, obviously, Arteta has different visions and we have different thoughts. And that is what it is. We will only buy Muani or Rashford, even when Trincao and Buemo are there. Yeah, Trincao actually is a very decent player. I remember him at Barcelona, also at Sporting Lisbon. Kolo Muani, dude. For me, Eintracht Frankfurt is not team. They know how, in a way, to scam people. I know it sounds very rough and very weird, but if you look at Eintracht Frankfurt, they always have had banging strikers. Jovic, Kolo Muani. Now they have Marmoush. They had Silva and everything. Silva went to RB Leipzig, has done F-all since. Jovic went to Real Madrid, has done F-all also for AC Milan. Kolo Muani, banging striker, has gone to PSG, 70 million, has done F-all. Now they have Marmoush. Now looking at Marmoush, I have more faith in Marmoush to do better than in Jovic, Kolo Muani, and all them people. But we will have to wait and see. You predicted, Nathan. I wouldn't mind Buemo at Arsenal. I'm gonna say it that way, genuinely. Ruiz swap deal for Jorginho. Yeah, great transfer for us. Not good for them, though. Saka would be scoring 20. Yeah. Saka would be if we had Wenger and give them the freedom. Yeah. Bro, we cooked by Everton, who got 4-0 and we wouldn't even score one. That's the thing. If we were playing Everton still to this day, 2.5 weeks later, we still wouldn't have scored against them. That's how bad we were. That's how Sean Dyche schooled us. And Sean Dyche schooled Chelsea as well. Chelsea has very open attack. It's very inconsistent, but they have very attacking team. And they also couldn't have scored against them. Obviously, it was a Goodison Park, but AO, we allow it. Two teams they have nullified. It will be interesting to see what they do at Merseyside Derby, because I generally believe there will be goals they will be leaking at Merseyside Derby. Oh, big up JK, Merry Christmas. Magnus Akliuche is actually a very decent player. Really, really decent player. He's big key of Monaco in the Monaco, that I believe that goal could be. We said that about Fofana as well in summer, didn't we? And now he's at AC Milan. That went well. Akliuche actually is not a bad player. He needs still to grow. He's quite raw in a way, the way he plays, the way he does things. That there definitely is a very, very good player in him. Very good when you watch him play. In a way, he single-handedly does certain things that really are really impressive. Really impressive. It's not wonder that Monaco, technically Monaco's biggest issue, you could argue, is the striker department. And Mbolo injured. Balogun also has been injured quite a bit and everything. They don't have attackers. That's the biggest issue. Akliuche alone cannot do everything. Let's be real. Bournemouth beat us 2-0. They can't even beat Chelsea. They got cooked by Chelsea, and Chelsea barely managed to get the draw with us. That, to be honest, we barely managed to get a draw with Chelsea, in a way. Borja Sainz, another decent one, yes. Marmoush. I would love for Arsenal to sign Alex Baena. I don't want this Molero from Las Palmas, 50 million, that's hell of a lot. For me, Alex Baena would be fantastic. I think he has about 30 million release clauses only. Why not sign him, for example? Marmoush, he is good. Yeah. We'll see. Chelsea could not even beat Man United. They drew, and we drew with them even. Dude, it's nuts. It's genuinely nuts. Isak deal, we'll have to wait and see. We will have to wait and see. Because recent reports are suggesting this, first of all, that Arsenal have given up on the pursuit of Victor Gyokeres. So that is very, very interesting to see how that will go. Who we gonna sign? Because if I look from the outside, Isak talks recently, even though they say he is on Arsenal's list, apparently still Benjamin Šeško is on top of the list, and Vlahovic is next to him. I still think that Dele Dusan will come back. What will happen with Šeško, I have no idea. Apparently Isak is there, but I'm not sure Arsenal will be willing to pay like 100 plus M's for him. That for me is the biggest thing. We spent 100 plus M's on Declan Rice. I'm not sure Arsenal will be willing to do that again. That for me is the big thing. I'm a big fan of Sainz. I'm as well. He's very good F1 driver. Spurs scored 4 against City, bro. We can't even score 3 against them. Yeah. Spurs just lost to Liverpool 6-3, by the way. That was a nuts game. Gyokeres hinted on Twitter that he's open. Yeah, he did that. I read that as well. He's open to Man United move. He wants to be reunited with Amorim as well. So that will be very, very interesting to see how it's gonna happen and where this is gonna go, because Arsenal currently are in a very... Arsenal as well are in a bit of a free fall to these days. Arsenal are in a bit of a free fall, in my opinion. Because I know City are in a bit of a massive free fall due to the injuries, everything. They're very inconsistent. They're quite bad, to be honest. 1 win in 12 games and everything. But Arsenal also are in a bit of a free fall. Yes, this win against Crystal Palace, good win, 5 goals. Not complaining about that. But it also came in. We actually managed to score in very important points of the game, if you recall, because as soon as they were starting to build up momentum, we managed to score and nullify them. They scored a goal, we instantly managed to score as well and nullify them. As soon as they were picking up momentum, we managed to find the goals in very important spaces. For example, that Raya double save. Mateta shot, Raya saves, header for Sar, Raya saves that great double save. I'm just keeping on wondering, what if the roles were reversed, for example? Sar makes the shot, and the header falls to Mateta. Would Raya make also the double save or not? And then if they score, would that make them rally, or what would happen then? But ultimately 5-1, I'm not complaining, but again, we managed to score in the key parts of the game. And that's what it's all about as well at the end of the day. I know it signs the Norwich player, man. I'm just being sarcastic, you know. Mikel Arteta playing Martinelli on the right. Still on that Bukayo Saka. No matter how you look at it, everything revolves back to Bukayo Saka and his injury. That's the first one that we decided to go through, especially because he played there before. He played there against Everton in the last match of the season. He did really well. I think he did really well again the other day. He scored a goal, he created an assist, and it's a good option to have. We're going to have options to play both-footed as well if we needed to, another kind of profile in relation to the opposition. I hate this profile type of thing. Really ruins football in a way. Really ruins football in my opinion. This profiling and everything. Speaking of Carabao Cup semi-finals, first leg is on January 7th. It's at the Emirates, 8 p.m. kickoff. And of course, Bukayo Saka is not gonna play there, obviously. February 5th, we'll have to wait and see. Will he play there though? Newcastle Arsenal, St. James Park, Wednesday, February 5th, 8 p.m. kickoff again. So we have basically, in a week and a half, we have the first game. We'll see how that happens, how that goes. Whether we're gonna win or not. Because that game will be definitely without Bukayo Saka. And also it will be interesting to see how that goes. Second leg is February 5th. We'll see if Saka plays there. But to be honest, if we look at our schedule, yeah, we will have to deal for quite a few games without Bukayo Saka. Because 6 weeks from this date, 6 weeks, right, is legitimately first week of February. 6 weeks. It's the whole January, and it's somewhere around end of first week of February. So that means that we are playing without Bukayo Saka against Ipswich, Brentford, Brighton, Newcastle United, Spurs, Villa, Dinamo Zagreb, Wolves, Girona, and Man City. Maybe also Newcastle. And then there's a 10-day break. Maybe as well. So basically, we might be without Bukayo Saka for both legs of Carabao Cup, based on how the reports are saying. And that is at best. That if there is a setback, if the grade is actually confirmed that it's worse and everything, it is a bit of a worry sign, isn't it? Because Bukayo Saka is not going to play all the cup games, United at home, both most likely Newcastle games, and he's going to miss the North London Derby, he's going to miss the United game, Villa game, City game potentially. So he's going to miss all the big games, even Brighton away, even Brentford away. He's going to miss some of the biggest games we could have in the beginning of the year. And that could set the tone for what Arsenal will achieve this season in general. And I'm not talking about title race, because in my opinion it's over. But I'm talking about where we could finish by the end of this season. Because, let's be real, you don't win league in the first 16 games, first 20 games. But you can definitely lose a league in the first 16 to 20 games. And currently Arsenal are in this position where they're hanging by a thread, and 1-2 losses more, and they have lost it all. We are basically there. We genuinely are basically there. And how we gonna fare without Bukayo Saka will show what is what, how serious we are, and whether it's gonna happen or not. That for me is the big question at the end of the day, of course. So we'll see. We'll have to wait and see how that happens, where this goes. But yeah, it's not looking too good, is it? It genuinely is not looking too good in general. Anything else? Oh yeah, Pepper. You know Peppermint, he's in the chat quite a bit. He sent me this one today. So, anyone want to speak on this delusional stuff, or is it just me? This ain't 2016 anymore. Odegaard is already clear of David Silva. Some Arsenal fans like these, if I can say actually, are the reason where Arsenal is where it is. No accountability, supporting everything the club does, no matter what it happens, how it goes, wherever it goes, finding all the excuses in the world to protect the manager, protect the players, and not to hold anyone accountable. That including the owners as well. But for someone to say that Martin Odegaard is clear of David Silva is new kind of level of delusion I haven't seen at all. Fantastic what Christmas break does to people, I guess. I'm not sure if he had too much punch, or he drank too much, or something, what forced him to tweet stuff like this out, but oh my goodness gracious. Genuinely, oh my goodness gracious. How can you tweet that Odegaard is better than David Silva? That's like me currently going out on X, not Twitter, same thing, and tweeting that, well, if I think about this, Martinelli is better than Ronaldinho. Same thing. Stupid, useless, and whoever gave you why are you even tweeting stuff like this? Some people genuinely needs to stop with the social media, because it's doing more harm than good for them. Kid you not. Genuinely kid you not. Anyways, let's see what else is happening in the world of Arsenal. Arsenal could spend big on replacing Saka. So people actually believe that Arsenal actually will replace Bukayo Saka somehow. That is the big thing. Because currently the way I'm seeing this going is since Arsenal have Martinelli, Trossard, Jesus, they have 4 players that can play in that position. 1 year, well, 5 even. 5 players who can play as a right wing. I'm not sure Arsenal actually will buy a replacement for Bukayo Saka. That for me is the biggest worry currently, not that Arsenal could spend big or what. Because so far, there are no indications that Arsenal actually will do anything. The links are very vague, very random, very, very questionable, and there are no concrete evidence that Arsenal would be actually interested in anyone. There was nothing like with Šeško, nothing like with Calafiori, Merino, and other those players we were linked with in summer. There are no concrete evidence that Arsenal would actually be interested in anyone. And that for me is a big, big worry already. You should look at the signs in this. And to be honest, in this instance, lack of signs regarding all of this. That for me is the big thing. They speak about Martinelli, Vanieri potentially. And of course, it's not actually that they're gonna sign someone, it's just a random article saying they should sign. Basically, it's an opinion-based article. So to get straight to the point, Arsenal should be looking at to sign next month is of course Ademola Lookman. The big question is, would Arsenal spend about 58 million pounds on Ademola Lookman? That's the big thing. Would Arsenal spend 58 million pounds on Lookman or so? Don't get me wrong, there is a player in Lookman, quite a big player. He has been in Premier League before. I think, where was it? Leicester? And I want to say Fulham, but I think I'm missing someone. But it never worked out for him here. So maybe he's actually built himself up, and maybe it's gonna work. Maybe he's actually not made for Premier League, who knows. But it's not looking too good. Although Lookman wouldn't be one of the worst options to sign. Even though, yeah, we are still linked with Rashford today, which already is a bit of a worry, to say the least. So yeah, Gyokeres fell off. In a way, it feels like he has. I don't know whether it's the fact that there is no Ruben Amorim or what, but he definitely has fell off. Gyokeres has not scored since Amorim left. That is the big thing. Maybe he needs Amorim to score. Maybe it's like his lucky charm or something. Lookman is so good. He can... That's the thing. You say he can score, and I think he could. The thing is, would Arteta use him in a way to elevate his performances that he can score 20 plus goals? And the biggest issue is, once Bukayo Saka comes back, what are we going to do then? Play Lookman as a left wing? Or what? Because we need actually quite a bit of an attackers. We need a winger, we need a striker, we need quite a few backup for Saka. We need technically 3 attackers in general, if you come to think about it. So, what are we gonna do there? Yeah, play him as a left wing, but he doesn't play there as much. I think the Catalero or someone else plays on that left side for Atalanta, so that for me is the big question. That for me is the question mark that needs. Arteta determined to bluster Arsenal's key position by signing 83 million star. Let's see what waffle is this. That's Marcus Thuram, no? Yeah, it's Marcus Thuram. And again, as always, according to the fish eyes, I'm already clicking off. That fish eyes is the most biggest crap in the world. I rejected Spurs before 64 million move. I could join Arsenal in January. Football.London. These articles are genuinely nuts. It's about... Oh my goodness. If we... I kid you not. If we sign Colomwani at Arsenal, this channel will go berserk. Yeah, he can play striker. That is the only thing. Cam and secondary. It's similar like Mbuemo. He can play right wing, striker, secondary striker, and number 10 technically. But that shouldn't be an issue at Arsenal. Arsenal should have already signed either Kudus for 40 M's 2 years ago when we signed Havertz, for fuck's sake. Or we should have signed Michael Olise, which we should have signed last summer. But Arsenal decided not to. We should have had these issues addressed, but Arsenal always sit tight on their hands, do nothing. It's too late and everything, and we screw things up. That is the big thing. That is the big thing in that regard. Marcus Thuram is being chased by Liverpool. I can see that. I genuinely can see that. I can see Thuram playing actually very, very well for Liverpool. I'm not gonna lie. I can see him actually thriving at Liverpool. As weird as and bad as it sounds, I can see him actually having good performances for Liverpool. So that is another one down the Swanee. Because Arsenal were linked with Thuram, weren't they? They were linked with Thuram when he was leaving Borussia Mönchengladbach. Either was it for free or something like that. We were linked with him before he joined Inter Milan. The same summer, I think, as well. And we didn't sign him. So that has gone well, hasn't it? Arsenal, the gift that keeps on giving. Oh, Arsenal. 2 defenders who rejected Spurs to sign in for Arsenal. Nobody cares. 2019. The player who could leave Arsenal in January. And 4 who probably won't as contract decisions approach. Who could leave Arsenal in January? Because Arsenal needs to sell something. Well, in my opinion, Arsenal shouldn't sell. They need actually players, but it is what it is. Jorginho to stay. Partey to stay. Tierney to leave. Zinchenko to stay. F off with all these commercials. Kivior to leave. Kivior still is being linked today with Napoli, by the way. Kivior is still being linked with Napoli also to this day. So that is a bit of an interesting one. Would actually Conte sign him from Arsenal? That for me is a big question. Only player we would get from them is Calhanoglu or Darmian. As weird as it sounds, Calhanoglu is actually balling at Inter Milan. And to be honest, Calhanoglu technically is a 10 who plays as an 8. But since Inter Milan have these midfield shift arounds and a bit of an issues with them, he tends to play sometimes at 6 for them as well. It's very weird how that works, but for Inter Milan it works. The Italian defense and the specialists for them have actually figured it out. Arsenal haven't. Arteta says he's going to start playing him. Fuck. Yeah, Arteta says he's going to start playing him. I assume you mean Kivior, right? Last January window, before it and during it, we had Emil Smith-Rowe still here, and Mikel Arteta said, I don't want to sell him in January because he has a vital role to play in the title race, and he's gonna play quite a lot for me. Fast forward from that January till the end of the season, last season, Emil Smith-Rowe played 1 game as a starter, got man of the match. Then he played few games as cameos, 15, 20 minutes here or there, and that's about it. And that was all she wrote. That genuinely was all she wrote. And ESR looked at it and said, I'm not sitting with this lying bastard. He had a transfer request, he's at Fulham and bowling at Fulham now. And somehow at Fulham, he doesn't get injured. He's only injured at Arsenal. So that again is now on Arsenal. Bro, if we had Emil Smith-Rowe at that number 10 spot while Odegaard was injured, that actually would have been kind of interesting to see how that happens. We actually could have explored him playing as a number 8 as well, to some extent. He loves Arsenal. He's a hailing graduate. What did you expect as well? He just doesn't like Arteta. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if he's not the only one who doesn't like Arsenal. Arteta, sorry. I think even in Arsenal's team currently are players who don't like Mikel Arteta. They just cannot voice their opinions on that because, well, they will get the boot because Arteta basically owns Arsenal at this stage. Let's be real. There are definitely players in Arsenal's team currently that don't like Mikel Arteta. Because Trossard is not acting like him when he scores, and the way his body language doesn't suggest that he's too happy with things he has to do. Bukayo Saka is coming out in interviews and saying that Arteta wants his attackers to defend first, and let's be real, he doesn't like to defend. Few weeks later, he comes out in an interview and says, with Timber, I feel very safe at the back. Pause. I don't actually have to defend. I don't have to track as much. I actually can attack. If you can put two and two together from those two interviews, I'm sorry, but that already is telling, if you read properly between the lines, in my opinion, I know it sounds like a conspiracy theory, but it suggests that Bukayo Saka is sick and tired of defending as well. And that happens all the time. Saliba comes out, Saliba says, if I want to be the world's best, I need to win trophies. And quick, by the way, as well. On top of that, 2 months later, he comes out, me and Gabriel, if we want to be considered world class, we need to start winning trophies, and quick as well. It doesn't come out of nowhere. If player has an ambition, he will go and try and win trophies. Whether it's gonna be at Arsenal, whether he's gonna piss off to Real Madrid, it's up to him, depending on the value, the bid they put in for him. But ultimately, at the end of the day, if Real Madrid puts in an offer, even if Arsenal don't accept it, Saliba can easily say, okay, cool, here's my transfer request. Do what you're gonna do. And I don't give a damn. Because sooner or later, if Arsenal don't start winning big trophies, and I mean big trophies, because in the world scheme of things, you are not gonna be considered world class when you win Carabao Cup. You need Premier League, you need Champions League, you need stuff like that. World Cup even to some extent. And they will start basically leaving at some point. They will leave, and that actually could. That the worst part is some of these players could leave while Arteta is still here, and we actually might lose those players before Arteta leaves. That's how bad it is. Because for me, if Arteta goes and we bring in proper manager, we win trophies, in my opinion, instantly. Not per se instantly. You get what I mean? Instantly in the first, second year, instantly. FA Cups, maybe even Premier League if we bring in proper manager, or Champions League to some extent. But overall, there is a possibility that we're gonna be sitting here with this Lego-headed Paella who has Lego haircut, who spends most of his money on hair gel, who gets 15 million a year, feels fine, doesn't have any pressure, although it looks like he has finally, but it is what it is. And some of our best players will leave before him. And by the end, it will be a carnage. Arteta will leave, and we will be back to square one, and we're gonna start with another manager, another process, another millions to spend, and we will be in a top 6, top 8 battle once again. It's either or. Either you win, or it's gonna become dark times at Arsenal very quickly. And the sooner top Gunners realize that, the better it is for the whole club. As a manager, you have to get a good relationship with your players. Exactly. You need good relationship with your players. You need to set up tactics, set up teams in a way where you elevate their strengths and minimize their weaknesses. And usually how you do that is by elevating someone else's strengths, you cover someone else's weaknesses. Because you are as strong as your weakest link. And basically, the stronger your certain players are, the better chances they're gonna cover other players' weaknesses. They need to do that. They all need to be happy, work for each other. And currently, sometimes it just doesn't feel like it. Because the way we are sometimes playing feels like they're against each other as well. It motivates the players more. If I'm flipping Arteta. Trust me, it could happen. It could come to that. It genuinely could come to that. And not only Saliba and Gabriel, there could be some other players as well. We are not just talking about the center backs. There are some other players as well. Give the players chances to make their own. Exactly, that's the thing. But we cannot afford to do that. That's the thing. The way Arteta plays, it's his way or the highway, and that's it's gonna be until he goes. And until Arteta needs to change in the way that he's very stubborn and very pragmatic. He needs to change in his stubborn ways. He needs to give players some freedom. He needs to give them control over themselves and on the game. But Arteta doesn't do that. Because many times when it's 0-0, 1-1, 1-0 down and stuff like that, what changes the game? It's not always the substitutions. It's not the manager's tactics. It's nothing like that. It's one flash of brilliance from a certain player, one sort of magic in a way, if you will, that basically gets you the goal, gets you the assist, gets the chance to score. But the way Arteta and his tactics has set up the team, there is no room for this magic to happen. Because every player is boxed in a certain type of square, they play like robots, and there is no chance for them to express themselves, to show them that they can actually produce this magical moment. It randomly happens, but mostly from Bukayo Saka, not from anyone else. But until Arteta actually takes the shackles off and lets them actually properly attack, properly trust each other, and create for themselves, it's never gonna happen. It genuinely never gonna happen. We can kiss the title to goodbye already. They're grown ass men. Let them think on their own and give them room to get better. Exactly. Let them do their own thing as well. Yes, put tactics in place, but not in a way that they feel like they're in prison, basically. Give them guidelines, how they should play, how they should pass in certain situations, but at some level, give them the damn freedom to create as well. Give them the open mind and vision to look outside the box, because all of our players are inside the box, and they are dark tinted glass walls and they cannot see outside, basically. Exactly. He's bossing them all the time. They are like prisoners. Exactly. The players, that is the case, at least from side point looking at it. And then Arteta is on the sidelines, landing airplanes, airship 1, airship 2, give me some red stripe, you land on the runway B, runway C, fly Emirates Airlines and all that stuff. And then he falls to the ground at some point as well. Like, that doesn't fly. Why is he like that? It just shows that he has panic, he has weakness, and that doesn't just panic himself, that panics the other players as well. When they see manager falling to the ground and doing everything, landing airplanes all the time. The micromanaging of the players is way too much. And it's been 5 years like that. And the fact is that our players are grown-ass men, and they accept it, because Arteta has very early indoors, as soon as he came in, with Guendouzi, some extent Pepe, Lacazette, who else was there? Ozil, Aubameyang. He's shown them the door. Instantly, they showed what is what. It's either Arteta's way or the highway. If you don't do it by how Arteta wants it, you can piss off. He's did that, and everyone's just basically under his thumb right now. Same goes for the people in charge as well. Why Arteta mentioned Havertz play at right wing? It does not make sense. He barely can play it. That's the thing. I'm saying we, Arteta, in this instance, not we, because I never wanted Havertz at Arsenal. But Arteta bought Havertz to play in midfield. His words, he said it himself in an interview. For half a year, he tried to shoehorn him into the midfield, and he screwed up the whole season at that time. We went 1-7 in December, lost to Fulham, draw to Fulham, lost to Southampton, West Ham, and all that stuff. Then after the buy chip, he sticks him up top. Basically because he had to do something. He needed to justify it. So at the end of the season, he did it. Okay, cool. It worked. He hit the purple patch, decent goal scoring form and everything. Then Arteta decided that it's gonna work out like that for the whole season this year. And it's not. Havertz is a very streaky player and he's not good enough. Everyone knows that, I guess, besides Arteta. But now, that's the thing. We bought him as a midfielder, and he failed as a midfielder. We stick him as a number 9, where he is, well, bang average. And now, because Saka is injured, we're gonna stick him up to right wing. Yes, I understand. At Bayern Leverkusen, he has played right wing. But that's completely different circumstances. Because it's the same as under Xabi Alonso, currently Havertz and other players. They have the freedom. They have the ability to play there. They have the shackles off. Under Arteta, there is no shackles off. They're in the shackles. And Havertz, he has played as a right wing for Chelsea as well. And it didn't work out there. I think Havertz has played as a right wing a bit for Arsenal as well. Maybe like half a game, maybe a bit less. And it looked hell out of place. And he still persists on that. It's like he never learns from his mistakes. It makes zero sense. Much rather see Jesus Martinelli playing there than anyone else. He makes the players so what he wants and don't listen. That's the thing. Arteta plays for the system. Arteta picks players for the system. He doesn't allow the system to help the players, basically. Because system should help the players. Not players should help the system to work. That's how we have signed the players. It's for the system how he wants to play. But in general, we actually should be playing our players, and Arteta should implement some sort of system how we maybe should do some things to help the players to basically elevate themselves and help the system to grow. But Arteta does it the other way around. He wants the system to work, so he signs the players to forcefully, basically, make the system work. Manager have to make players do what they want to get better. Exactly. Arteta should be teaching the players to get them better. He should do everything in his power to elevate their strengths and hide their weaknesses. Basically, Arteta should be elevating Martinelli's strengths, and by helping Rice grow, cover Martinelli's weaknesses. Same goes on the right side. Saka has his weaknesses, let's be real. And he should be elevating his strengths and mask his weaknesses by elevating Odegaard's strengths. And it should work hand in hand, but it doesn't. Arteta wants the system to work, not the players. We should pay the player based on their strength, which mean create a system for that player, not the player. Exactly. That's why we have Calafiori. That's why we have Merino. That's why we have other players. Personally, I hadn't seen reason for us to sign. I also Havertz. We have players for the system. And let's be real, Merino has been here for half a year. He doesn't fit the system by the way he's playing. Havertz doesn't fit the system whatsoever. Calafiori is injured half the time, so what the hell system he's playing, unless the system in the hospital, the bag you put into the hand and everything. It's all hit and miss. But anyways, guys, I think I have ranted and talked about Arsenal enough, and I didn't expect to be such a rant on Christmas Day, by the way, so it's a bit of a weird one. But yeah, I think for today, that will be it. If you haven't already, like the thing, subscribe. Merry Christmas, by the way, for everyone watching. Big up Luth fan, big up Marlon, big up Nathan, big up everyone, big up Elias, big up GK, everyone who dropped by. Have a great evening, stay safe, take care. See you all tomorrow for Ipswich preview, see what happens then. And slowly let's prepare for the first game without Bukayo Saka in a very, very long time. See what Arteta does. And let's hope we don't see Havertz as a right wing though. So take care, stay safe, and see you very, very soon. Merry Christmas!